Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Ellen Crocker. She's with the University of Kentucky Extension Forest Health Specialist there. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm glad you're here today because you've brought some things with you, and today we're going to talk about invasives and the roles that they can play in our woodlands and how we really need to scout for them and get them under control.
We do, and I think especially in light of some of the tornadoes that went through, not only can tornadoes damage your trees in particular, but they can also create the perfect conditions for invasives to be taking off. And why is that a problem? Well, you don't want to be seeing a sea of invasive plants. You want a diverse range of native trees that are going to be valuable for you, valuable for insects and wildlife. And if instead you've just got all these invasives that are clogging things up and preventing those little trees from becoming the big trees, you're not going to see that.
And I think one thing is that people might not know what are invasives. You know, sometimes things that are sometimes marketed as desirable, they are actually invasive. And so I think there's some confusion there. But you have some examples of things that are very prominent that we probably need to be looking for.
That's so true. And invasive plants can come in all different shapes and sizes. You have invasive trees that can directly compete with the trees you want to be seeing, invasive shrubs that can clog up that understory layer, invasive vines and herbaceous species. And we've got one right here that's a really common sight.
So what is this?
So this is called Tree of Heaven, but don't be fooled by the name Heaven. It is far from heavenly. This is an invasive tree, and it has these little papery seeds that can easily be carried on the wind, and it grows fast, and it can grow in these dense thickets that can outcompete the natives that we want to be seeing there.
And you know, usually when we hear invasives, we think of prolific, like once you get them, they spread. Is that the case with this?
That is totally the case. And these love to come in on edges and where there's been disturbance. And if they get there first, they're going to grow faster than the things you want to see there. So especially if there's some disturbance like a harvest or like a tornado coming through, if you've got a lot of Tree of Heaven getting in, it can kind of throw a wrench in your plans long term. One of the things about Tree of Heaven that I think makes it such a problem is how fast it grows. So this is what a Tree of Heaven seedling looks like in the summertime. You know, this is what it's grown since the spring. Now all of this is 1 year's growth of Tree of Heaven when it's gotten a little bit bigger. So you can see this is like 3-4 feet. And that is going to grow faster than the natives we want to be seeing. It's not going to give us the same benefits. And once it gets big, it's a lot harder to manage. So the sooner you can catch something, the sooner you can pull up some little seedlings, that's a lot easier than having to deal with the problem further down the road.
And is that the best way, just mechanically pulling those? Because I saw you brought down here with you a whole handful of these. Is that the best way?
So you can if you catch these when they're really small. But one thing that's really important about Tree of Heaven and other invasive trees and shrubs that are woody is that if you leave the root system in the ground, it's going to sprout back up even worse than it was before. So if you can't get that whole root system, let's say these trees are a little bit larger or that's just not convenient, I definitely recommend a systemic herbicide, something that's going to kill the root system of that tree.
Absolutely. So if I'm going through my woodland areas, what do I look for? I mean, it has opposite leaves, but when it's this small, how can I tell that's what it is?
Well, one thing to note about it is that it actually doesn't have opposite leaves. It has these huge, long leaves that are made up of lots of little leaflets. So each one of these are leaflets on one. This is the size of the leaf, huge, right?
Oh. That's the leaf.
That's the leaf, yeah. And each one of these leaflets has a tiny little gland right at the base, like a little lobe. Another thing to note about it, what does this smell like to you? Can you smell it?
What, just like wet dog maybe? I don't know.
Rancid peanut butter?
Ooh, that's what it smells like. Yes, it's not good.
But nothing good, right? So it smells really bad. That's another thing to note about Tree of Heaven. You can see when these leaves first emerge, they kind of have this reddish color, but they'll turn a darker green over time.
All right. Well, certainly appreciate the information. And if you have questions about invasives or Tree of Heaven, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.